So this is absolutely insane. Over the weekend, Donald Trump tweeted the idea of creating a 50-year mortgage to help reduce the monthly payments for home buyers. And I know I might get some pushback from saying this, but this is an absolutely terrible idea. There are so many things that could go wrong, and if one thing happens in the housing market, this could actually wipe out the housing market and so many investors. This is completely uncharted territory. No one should touch this option ever. So instead, what you should do is if you're looking to buy your first short-term rental, here is a significantly better option and actually a hidden loan product that is so easy, so accessible, and it's the easiest way to do this with low money down, lower interest rates, and de-risk yourself as much as possible. So let's dive in. All right, so for anybody starting their short-term rental journey, typically the first-time investor is going to be looking for a combination of these three things: maximum tax savings, maximum cash flow, and then the lowest total entry. That's the down payment amount, closing costs amount, and then specific all the enhancements and revenue driving amenities that you add into the home right after you close. So the challenge is most people are doing this the old way, where they're putting 20% down payments for 6% plus interest rates. And this is going to be exceptionally difficult because it's going to be very difficult to cash flow and get a very high cash on cash return. A cash on cash return is the total cash flow that you make annually divided by the total entry into the deal. So for example, let's say you get $15,000 a year in cash flow divided by whatever your total entry is into the deal. Let's say you put $100K total into the deal. Well, you'd be getting a 15% cash on cash return. Now that's actually really, really good. The challenge is if you're trying to recreate these numbers off of the old way where you're doing 20% down with 6% interest rates, that's going to be very, very difficult to obtain. Now, the new way, and this is the most efficient way to actually cash flow and reduce the total entry into the deal at the same time, you're going to do a 10% or 11% down payment, and you're going to try and get, in this current interest rate environment, less than 6% interest rate. Now, how can you do this? Well, one of the easiest ways to secure a loan product that gives you the ability to do this is to work directly with a bank who will offer what's called a secondary home loan product. A secondary home loan product is a loan product that's decades old. So many people have used this product throughout the years to buy vacation homes or their secondary home, so long as it's more than 50 miles away from their primary residence. Anybody who has roughly over a 730 credit score, no issues with a debt to income ratio, meaning they make a lot of money, they don't spend a lot of money on other mortgages, car payments, other credit payments, etc. This is one of the easiest loan products to secure. And the one thing you need to figure out is working specifically with a bank who will give you the green light according to their guidelines to also use this home as a short-term rental. So specifically, what makes this so appealing is, let's say we do the same scenario that we had up here. So let's say we're buying a $500,000 home and we have the same amount of cash flow or even better cash flow, but let's keep it the same in this scenario. So let's say we have $15,000 a year in cash flow, and instead of this rough amount of $100,000 that we put into this deal, let's say that we were able to chop that in half, because instead of a 20% down payment, now our down payment is only 10%. So in this scenario, we put in 10% of $500,000, which is literally only $50,000 for our total entry into this deal in this rough example. So now our cash on cash value is going to be substantially different. Instead of it only being 15%, this now equates to 30%. So this is fundamentally the most important thing to understand if you're thinking about getting into short-term rentals. The lower your total entry into the deal, the more money you have to play around with when it comes time to add value to the property, specifically not adding value that increases the purchase price value or the appraised value of the home. Specifically, we're talking revenue driving amenities. So things like in the exterior, we're going to do putting greens, we're going to add fire pits, we're going to add stone patio walkways. And that's just in the exterior, where we have the largest opportunity to differentiate ourselves from so many of the other boring investment properties or Airbnb properties that co-hosts don't really put a lot of effort and attention into. And then specifically in the interior, we're going to hire an interior designer, we're going to hire a general contractor, and specifically we're going to work with these people to actually add revenue driving amenities to the home that make the home more appealing. Airbnb's product market fit is group luxury travel, specifically premium group luxury travel. So these are things like accent walls, you might add in game rooms, you might add in things like additional bunk beds so that you can sleep more heads and beds. And these are going to be some of the items that you can actually afford to contribute to once you close on the home, because instead of putting in 20% down on the home to close, you only did 10%. Now, if this makes sense, you're very clear on ignoring the route of doing any sort of 50-year mortgage, because the challenge with that might be it might have to be a 30% down payment, because what bank is going to want to give you the opportunity to take an extra 20 years versus a 30-year mortgage to pay back their interest? So I built another video that breaks down everything I wish I knew when I was just getting started with my short-term rental journey. This is before I bought my first 8 properties in my first 14 months of investing, way before we did over 380 deals for 220 clients. Check out that video so I can break down exactly what I wish I knew if I only had $100,000 to start my rental investing journey today.